Well, welcome to the Stone Roadie podcast. It's the one you don't want to miss. It stars Craig Reed, the Stone Roadie, and Griff, the rocket scientist. Let's not forget Kathy Godsey and all the old friends that come along. Lord, we'll be talking Skynyrd and leaving you with a song.
Podcast 68, Stone Roadie Show, action. All righty then, looky here. You have tuned in to the Stone Roadie Show. All the ski information y'all want to know is right here on the Stone Roadie Show, and I'm your host, the Stone Roadie Craig Reed, and here's my co-host, Mr. Griff Martin, the rocket scientist. And we don't know what the heck we're going to talk about this week. We ain't got no guests or nothing, and we just thought we would just kick it off, and I guess we'll just kick it off to say, boy, am I controversial over on Facebook, man. All you people that are just let me entertain you on YouTube should tune into me on Facebook. It's a real shit show over there. But yeah, we just started talking about all the stuff that I sell on eBay so I can make my fortune on eBay selling my my stuff that I've saved up for 40 years. Now all of a sudden I'm making a living off of dead people selling stuff on eBay, and now everything I sell seems to be fake and copies and this and that and the other thing. I don't know what's going on, but right over here, right here, where is it? I'm backwards with this green screen. There we go. Right there, that set list there. Yeah. A couple weeks ago, while I was down at Gary's funeral, I guess I sometimes I throw stuff over there to get scheduled to put on YouTube. And I got back from Gary's funeral and I noticed this set list here had gone off, and I hadn't even really finished it yet, and it was running, and there was no pictures, there was a description of it. It was a set list that was on the airplane that was with my stuff that when I left Jacksonville and I was getting a divorce, I threw everything I owned in suitcases and got on the plane, and I figured, we were going to Cleveland, which is where I live now, and I'd just drop off everything I wanted to keep in my life up here, and then we got in that plane crash. So I had most everything I owned with me, along with some of these set lists, and people started asking who wrote them and where they came from, and this is this thing on the green screen behind me. This has come from a big poster that that Lynyrd Skynyrd had, that I had framed, and I noticed this set list was in here, and then I noticed I had some of these same ones, the same songs, in with my stuff. So I've sold these before. I've sold a couple of them before, but don't have many of them. So yeah, I put one up, and some woman, I started everything at 99 cents, and some woman put the price of it up to like $277 or something like that. And then she got it, and she said it was a copy, and she didn't want it, and she wanted to return it. So I said, yeah, no problem. I took it back, but
it's a copy, Craig. But it wasn't a copy that was with
back in 1976, not many people had a copy machine. So here's the one that she sent me back.
But it was still on the plane, right? It was still on the plane.
There was one. But set list is must be from I thought it was from 1975, but apparently it's from 1976. and it's got that smell on it, which was on the Street Survivor album, and it's got Ain't No Good Life from the Street Survivor album, and those are songs that Steve worked on. And so this must have been when we just left. Steve just got with the band, and I don't remember. Maybe these are the only songs he knew real well, or I don't know. But I know those two songs were on the Street Survivor album, and they were songs that Skynyrd were doing live before they put them on an album. They would do that a lot. They would play an album. They'd write a song, and while they were on the road, and then they would play it live to see how the audience responded to it. And then they would go into the studio, and then they'd actually record it. And I think Ronnie would even say, "Here's one that's going to be on our next album or something." And
so, Craig, is that something that Ronnie would like tape on the floor so he could see?
That's why. Like I said, copy machines weren't real. Hotels and gigs and stuff didn't have them, so we had to. If we're on the road, we had to literally write every night. We was like Ronnie had one in front of him, and each guitar player had one in front of him, and everybody knew what song was coming up. They were all over the place. Yeah. So we had 8 or 10 of them posted in catering and. And just all over the place. They were posted in all the dressing rooms, and everybody, so everybody knew which songs were coming up. So yeah, we went through quite a bit of them. So the office would copy these up for us in New York and send them out 100 at a time. So I just ended up with a couple dozen of them. I threw in my case, and they were in among all the stuff I sell on eBay, that I say on the plane crash was stuff from my collection. I got money, currency from all over the world, and stickers and passes, and just pieces of odds and end paper that I just collected from over the years and just stuck it in my stuff. And I've just, here lately, I've been selling a couple things every week, but recently, hence I've started all this controversy. I have a lot of people that are either not paying or sending stuff back, so this is something that I got back that somebody sent back to me and said it was a copy, and it is a copy. It's a copy of the set list that they sent out, but I had a dozen of them stashed away in my stuff when I was leaving Jacksonville, and this is one of them. So, and there's other stuff, but oh boy, I got that funeral brochure down there in Jacksonville, and I thought I would, because people were asking me, they go, "Man, you're going down there. If you can pick up an extra invitation, will you do it for me?" So a couple of people, I said, "Yeah," so I picked them up a couple, and like I explained before, when I was at the ceremony, I hadn't picked a seat or anything inside, and when it was time for everybody to sit down, all the seats were taken. So I went over out in the lobby, and they kind of ushered everybody that didn't have a seat over into an auxiliary room where Karina Gaines was over there, and ARTIMUS, and a lot of people, but. It was weird because you could hear what was going on in the other room, and it was like 20 seconds later, they had a video screen, but it was over there. There was a big pause in it, so I kind of got aggravated, and I said, "I'm just going to go out and stand out there in the lobby, and just listen to it out there." And while I'm standing out there, that's where all those, I didn't bring any with me, those invitations for Gary's funeral, there was a stack of them out there, and they had a bowl of guitar picks, so while I'm out there, I thought, this whole stack is everybody's already in there, and they'd already given them away. Everybody had them, and I said, after everybody leaves, I'm just going to grab a few of them, make sure everybody gets one. So everybody was over in the cemetery watching Gary get buried, and I went back over after everything was over, and heck, there was still 100 of them things laying there. So I I picked up a dozen of them, many as I could, and stuck them in my suit jacket pocket, and a few picks, and when I come back, I was just thinking, that'd be really cool if I could put one of those things up on for auction, and it would sell for more than any funeral invitation there ever was, and that's kind of like my thought thing when I put it up. And I told Chad, I said I was going to sell one of these. He goes, "Oh, Dad, please don't." You know what's going to happen. I went, "Yeah, I know. That's why I'm going to do it." But I know Gary would think, and somebody told me that Elvis is sold for the most, and it was like $5,000. I said, "Oh God, that's perfect." I said Gary would just love it if his funeral program would sell for more than Elvis's was. He would think that was really cool, because when I was taking care of Gary and everything, and I'd escort him over to the gig, if we were playing in Las Vegas, I'd go up to his room and I'd get him, and I'd go, "Come on, Gary, we're going to take the route Elvis would take if he was going to the show." We'd go through the kitchen and all through these, take the service elevator and go through the kitchen. And he just ate that stuff up, so I thought that'd be pretty cool if his funeral invitation would sell for more than Elvis's or anybody else's would. But then after I did it, I kind of tried to investigate, how much the most expensive one ever sold for, and there really isn't any record of it. I think I saw one of Beethoven was going to go for 3,000 pounds, and that's about $3,800, so I just kind of put on there, I put it up for 99 cents, like I do. I start everything at 99 cents. It's not like I'm starting bid at $500. I start at 99 cents, and people what they pay for what they feel my stuff's worth. So a lot of it goes up to some pretty expensive stuff sometimes, but I knew it would go for more than 99 cents, and I thought it would probably go over 500, which it did, but then my whole thing was, whatever it brings, I'm going to donate that money to the 5 survivors. That'll be $100 a piece, So before I could even get it out, or I got to get paid for it before I can get in anybody money. So it sold for like $615 or something like that, and then the guy wanted his money back, because he said I told my wife what I did, and she said I wasn't hanging that in the house, that it was the other. So wanted his money back, and I said, "Well, if you're not allowed to display it in your house, that defeats the whole purpose you having it." I wanted some fan to get it and put it in a nice frame, and put it up and be proud and have everybody come over and look at it, because like at Ronnie's gravesite, he's got the coolest sign out there. I guess Judy put that up, and then it says, "A man is not dead until he is forgotten." And I went, that is so cool, man. And that's true, and I thought,
Yeah.
what a perfect memorial for Gary than to have a nice, his thing put in a display on a frame on somebody's wall. And, as long as it's hanging on there on his wall, he's dead, but he's not forgotten. I mean, you can see he's dead, but he's not forgotten. I thought, that's pretty cool. So then when I got it back, I have a couple of them left, and luckily my niece Lori owns Gallery Framing here in Akron, and she does all the framing for that guy from Akron. That's a great big basketball star, that is kind of controversial around here, but he's great big basketball star from Akron, Ohio, and she does all of his framing, so she does a really cool job. So I'm gonna take, a couple of and I decided to take 2 of those invitations up to her so it can be the front and the back and everybody displayed, and a couple of guitar picks on there. Make a really nice display to put up in my house. So Gary Rossington's memory will never be forgotten in my house. It'll be right there on the wall, And then I thought, wow, that's a pretty good idea. Instead of just giving them 1, I'll give them 2, for on this auction coming up this Sunday. And that way you can show the front and the back, and then have a couple I put the guitar pick because it's got Gary's signature on one side and then Lynyrd Skynyrd on the other side. So, you can display both sides of the invitation of the guitar pick and have it all in one frame. And I'm putting in a really nice frame, and I thought that'd be cool if somebody else wanted to do that too, And then I put on the thing, I said, I'm starting this out at 99 cents, but I'd like to see it go up to $5,000, So, and all that money is going to go to support the forgotten survivors, And I said, all the crap I got the last time, who can call me all those names when they see what's happening, but I put it up, and as soon as I put on there, I wanted to sell for $5,000. Some guy said, all right, I was behind you until you got greedy, and started his old BS, Dude, how am I greedy? I'm starting it for 99 cents. And I said, yeah, I'd like to get $5,000 for it and to give it to survivors. You got a problem with that? So there's kind of that story, but that brochure is going up on sale this Sunday, coming up on eBay under Survivor Films. But this here set list is up. I just put it up this week. I just put it up yesterday. I tried to list it on Saturday, but I kind of happened accidentally on purpose to mention the woman's name that bought it and didn't pay for it, so eBay pulled the listing, so I had to rewrite the listing without her name on there. But anyway, so yeah, so that's up. And then there's also a business card I sold the week before that somebody didn't pay for, but it's funny, but I noticed the guy didn't pay for it, and then I noticed the same guy friended me on Facebook. I went, dude, you're the same guy that bought that business card off of me last week and didn't pay for it. What the WTF? He went, oh man, I'm sorry, my internet went down, and by the time I got it back up, I saw that I hadn't paid for it, and eBay canceled it, and I didn't know what to do. I just laughed. I said, yeah, no problem. So I just relisted it. But yeah. But that's the story on that one. The business card of me, a production manager for Rossington Collins Band, that I signed on the back, that I give you 2 of them, so you can display if you put it in a nice frame, you can show the Rossington Collins thing on one side, and then my pretty signature on the other side. You can put it on one frame. So there you go. You don't never know when the most famous roadie in the whole wide world ever, and they ever since music existed, signature won't be worth money someday. But I wouldn't count on it. But so that's the kind of the controversy there. But then I've had some interesting things in my personal life. I had a couple of my ex-wives contacted me after they started reading. I was going to start talking about my ex-wives. They want to make sure I'm on good standings with them, and it's kind of funny. But one of them, I've talked about a couple of times. I haven't mentioned what number she is on the list or nothing. I don't, kind of keep you guys guessing. But yeah, one of them that I was married to really had a problem. No, not that one. She was nice. Okay. I haven't talked to her. No, but the other one, yeah, she was one that every time we'd go somewhere, or most of the time we'd go somewhere, and I would be in a room with people, and a lot of times if somebody would ask me, "Hey, you worked for Lynyrd Skynyrd or whatever," and I go, "Yeah," and I'd start talking about it, and then we'd get home and she'd go, "Do you always have to talk about Lynyrd Skynyrd? You don't do that anymore. What are you doing now? Quit living off your past. You always want to live in the past, So kind of gave me a word complex about it, So everybody asked me, on Facebook, they said, why didn't you talk about what you did when you were on Facebook? You made everybody kind of find you after everybody was writing books and stuff about Skinner. They go, "Hey, this is the same Craig Reed that was Lynyrd Skynyrd. Why haven't you written a book and everything? And why don't you write a book?" Because I ain't writing a book. I'd have to read a book before I'd know how to write one, But and then people started asking me to do a podcast. I said, "I don't know how to do that either, but I'll try it. What do I need?" "Well, a microphone and a camera is all you need." So I got that, and then the guy backed out, and Griff said, "Well, I got a mic and a camera." It's just people ask me to ask you questions because they're afraid to ask you, and I'll just ask you questions. And I go, "Yeah, okay, whatever," So we just started doing basically for Facebook, and then we said to start doing them for YouTube, and to get on Facebook, we just said, "Well, heck, man." People said, "We love your podcast. Why don't you go on YouTube too? You can make money at it," And both of us said, we never really even thought about that. But, if we could make money at this, it'd be pretty cool. If we had a million subscribers and we could start paying some of those forgotten survivors that we're trying to support now, with strictly with subscriptions from YouTube, And I think I mentioned last week on a Facebook thing that people wanted to make donations, and I was against that on this podcast thing. But I thought about it, and I thought at the end of these things, if people like them, I'm going to put up a thing there for $5, And if you like the podcast, donate $5. I'm not saying do, I'm just saying you have the option. Those of you out there that, want to help with this, with our campaign to raise money for the survivors. Because I think this month we've almost raised $200, but it's only, the 10th or something like that. I think we made 100. We just got monetized on eBay, or Facebook, or YouTube, last month on the 14th, and then they actually sent me a check after 2 weeks of being monetized. If they send you a check, it has to be for over $100. So I think we made $113 or something like that in March. Now in April, I think didn't check today, but I think we're almost up to like $200, but that's not a lot, but we're getting there. It's I think after a while we'll get a lot of subscriptions, and we'll be able to start giving the forgotten survivors $100 here, $100 there, or I'd like to make it $1,000 here and $1,000 there if we could get our subscriptions up, and I don't want to, and I know the whole time we were doing this, we kept saying, we need 1,000 subscriptions so we can start making money. Well, we finally reached that pinnacle, and now we'd really like to start to really help. But it's funny because, like I said, a couple of my wives have contacted me here recently, and one of them was one of the ones that used to belittle me every time we'd go to a party. I think I started this and got drifted off, and said, "You always have to stop to talk about Lynyrd Skynyrd every time we go somewhere."
Yeah.
And I'd say, I can't believe you're saying that, because look at all the stuff that we do because of that. If I was just Craig Reed, we wouldn't be doing any of this stuff. But because people know I'm with Lynyrd Skynyrd, look at the places we go, And oh, she used to just hound the heck out of me for talking about Lynyrd Skynyrd. But what was funny, after we got divorced, some friend of mine called me and said, "Hey, I met your wife or talked to your wife in the bar last night." And I says, "How do you know it was my wife?" She said, "Well, I went outside to smoke a cigarette, and the first words out of her mouth were, my ex-husband used to work for Lynyrd Skynyrd." And I said, and she said, and my friend said, "Oh, you mean Craig Reed?" So she called me, and I just thought that was amusing that she would belittle me for me talking about myself working for Lynyrd Skynyrd. But after we get divorced, she goes into bars, and that's the first thing out of her mouth, standing outside in the wintertime, and she just happens to be say, "My husband used to work for Lynyrd Skynyrd." I just kind of think that's kind of amusing. But there could have been music. I'd play it outside, and the conversation might have came up. I don't know, but that's just a story I heard. But I just thought it's kind of an amusing story. But she just happened to say that she watched one of my podcasts, and it was really good, and she thought it was really good, and she wanted to congratulate me, or she said she was proud of me. That's what it was for doing it. But but anyways, so yeah, that's that part of the story. And then I don't know, you people on Facebook, you've seen some. I've been pulled out my scrapbook. Jeff was over here last night. We were talking about boxing, and I told him I had an old picture of myself when I was a kid, and I had cowboy boots on, and I'm standing on one of those platforms, with a thing that had the bag up, and you'd punch it, and they'd go back and forth. And I was looking for that, and I got into a bunch of my old albums and started pulling up pictures. So I've been posting different pictures of mostly of Chad, mostly, and some of me, and down to Hell House, and when we would spend the night down there camping. I got him and his mom by the campfire and stuff, but yeah, that's about all I got to talk about. There's one guy asked me to ask some questions, and he said, "What the fuck was wrong with it?" Oh, I didn't mean to use that word. What's wrong with Alan? I mean, look in the 70s. He wrecked very nice Camaro. He never had a Camaro. I zoned out on a Quaalude after picking windshield glass out of my face a couple of years. I guess he got in a wreck with Alan. I don't remember this guy's name, but anyway. I kind of learned that wrecking cars was not a career I wanted. Did Alan have a death wish? And before his wife's death, even what was his problem? Yeah, that's a good question. Alan was wild, man. I mean, he pushed everything to the limit. When he was driving, he pushed it to the limit. When he did drugs, he pushed it to the limit.
Craig, let's back up. Let's back up and get back to the funeral announcement.
All right.
So when you were there at the funeral, we're just going to get inside the mind of Craig Reed here. When you were at the funeral, your intention, can you hear me okay, Craig?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Your intention was not to take the funeral announcement and sell it to piss people off. Your intention.
No, it wasn't my intention, but I knew it would.
Right. But your intention was actually to take that funeral announcement and sell it and see if you could get more than what Elvis got for his, which was more than 5,000 from what you heard. And you thought that would be a cool thing.
No, my main intention was for Gary to own that title. you know, for him,
Right.
for his funeral
so it
announcement to
it
sell
wasn't
for any other ones ever did, including Elvis, which I
yeah
thought
so
would be
so
real
in other
cool. I
words
think Elvis would think, I mean, Gary would think that was real
it
cool.
wasn't designed to actually piss people off when you put it on eBay. You were trying to get as much money as you could out of it, and you could go, wow, look, Gary, look how much money we got for your funeral notice, you know, and then we're going to take this money and give it to a survivor. Little did Craig know that there was a Heinz variety of people that were getting pissed off about it, right?
Well, I guess you know, people
at the time.
I've talked about it with people. I guess the
Right.
correct time is a year. I mean, after they're buried a year or something.
And at the time, I was working on this Muscle Shoals thing, you know, where I'd been working on it for like 2 months, right? And I had all these people. Well, then these people are calling me, did you see what Craig put on Facebook? You are now uninvited to Muscle Shoals. And I was like, oh, why? Well, did you see what Craig posted? And I said, well, what's that got to do with anything? So anyway, you know, I think that it was meant to be an honorable thing that Craig was doing.
Well, yeah, it was.
Yeah,
but I knew it was going to piss people off.
And everybody took it wrong. They took it wrong, just like they always take things wrong with Craig. When you're in the mind of Craig, you have to realize that Craig is trying to do the right thing. You have to look for what it is that he's doing, and you know, immediately everybody's mind goes to the wrong place, right? So yeah, that, you know, that funeral announcement in the end is going to bring some money, even though the guy's wife wouldn't let him put it on the wall. But in the end,
I'm well aware. I'm well aware that there are a few people out there that could just take $5,000 and wipe their butt with it and throw it in the wind and not miss it.
Yeah.
You know, and I also know if you do not ask, you shall not receive, you know. And I know if I just put the thing up there that, hey, you know, this is the intention, somebody it might get some, like I try to do with fat people. All I do is try to talk about fat people and bring it up to where they can think about it, and then maybe they'll do it, because obviously people don't think about it.
Well, here's the thing. Craig goes around and tells everybody, okay, you're a fat ass. But what he doesn't tell you is Craig was once a fat ass.
Yeah.
So if you were a fat ass, you can legally, well, morally talk about how it's not okay to be a fat ass because you were once a fat ass, right?
I had some woman yesterday tell me that she woke up 60 pounds overweight one day and didn't know how it happened. And I can relate to that because it happened to me. One day I woke up 60, 80 pounds overweight, and I went, what the hell happened?
People don't know that part. They don't know. They just think that skinny Craig is making fun of fat people. They don't realize that Craig was once overweight, and he knew how he felt, and he knew that it was a bad thing, and now he's trying to help people. So you guys that are getting, you know, Craig all wrong, you need to get into Craig's mind a little differently and be open-minded and see that he's actually trying to help. Like with the funeral announcement, he's trying to help with the funeral announcement. He's trying to help also with, you know, telling people how you need to eat properly and things like that. And, you know, so he's really trying to do a good thing. Now that's,
and I'm trying to help myself too. Yeah. My tractor needs a $1,600 repair, and I'd like to sell a couple of things on eBay and pay for that.
And that's set
because I'm on Social Security.
You know, that set
I'm 60. I'm 72 years old.
Is a copy, but it was still on the plane. It's a copy, but it's still valuable because there were like, you had How many copies of that set list on the plane, Craig?
Oh, I had a couple dozen of them. Yeah, I'd say I just weird things, that I had as a production manager and stuff.
Right.
I had access to all.
But
this
it's not
stuff.
a copy that we just copied just recently.
No,
it was
no,
copied back in the 70s.
Yeah, okay, back to that. It's a copy from Sir Productions. Sir Productions had a copy machine, and they would just copy them out and send them to us. And at the end of a tour, I had some left over and stuck them in my stuff at home. And people say, well, why do you have a set list from the year before on the plane? Well, that's the reason. It was just stuff I had from previous. I had like I said before, I had all kind of stickers and. I've still got every itinerary Lynyrd Skynyrd ever had. I'm like Griff can tell you, he's been to my house. I'm almost a hoarder.
Well, what people don't realize is that when you got on that plane, you were getting divorced, and everything that you owned, you brought on that plane.
Oh yeah, that I wanted to keep. Right. Yeah, because when I got home, everything was gone.
So when the plane crashed, Craig had all these things on the plane, and so when somebody
I had 7 suitcases, all those silver suitcases you see in the pictures, those were all mine,
And Craig was kind of like moved out, so he moved all his stuff on the plane. Maybe that's why the plane lost fuel.
It was too heavy. Had all my luggage and everything I owned was on that airplane.
So when people get on eBay and they go, oh, that's a copy. Yes, it is a copy, but it was copied in the 70s and it was on the plane. So it's still very valuable. Same thing with the slides, right, Craig? All those slides.
Oh yeah, yeah.
A whole box of
I
slides.
had, that was the second, that was the fourth show we had, and I had ordered supplies for that tour. So in Greenville, I got a box of Steve's slides, a box of Gary's slides, a bunch of picks and stuff that were Gary and Steve's. They were theirs, but they didn't use them. They were just still in a box. When I picked up all my stuff, I just picked up those boxes and took them with me. I knew what was in them, so and some people say you stole those off the family and stuff like that, and I explained that before too. When we had that warehouse up there on off of Cassett or wherever it was, I forget what the name of that road. That's where all the Lynyrd Skynyrd stuff was stored over those couple of years. And when I got up there, I opened the doors and it was full of everybody's stuff.
And nobody wanted it.
And I said, well, this was Steve's, this was Ronnie's, this was Dean's, this was, and I kind of sorted everything, and I called Judy, and I called Teresa, and I called Dean's parents, and I said, hey, I got this stuff up here that belonged to Steve, and it belonged to Ronnie, and it belonged to Dean, and whoever else. And I said, it's up here. It's been up here for a couple of years. And they said, well, don't it smell? And I said, well, it don't smell like roses, but there's nothing wrong with it. And they goes, we don't want none of that stuff. It would just bring back bad memories. We don't want none of that stuff. So I took everything that I noticed and, recognized and stored it away for 30 years,
So
now all of a sudden that stuff that I stole off the band, and now I'm selling it and I'm living off dead people because I stole that stuff from the families. It's not the way this story.
Yeah, so somebody might make a comment that, hey, Craig didn't check with the families before he put that on eBay.
Oh, yes,
he did. He checked with the families back in the day when he had all that stuff and nobody wanted it. And nobody even wanted to talk about the plane.
I threw a half a dumpster of stuff away because it was just clothes. It was just people's clothes. I only kept the stuff that I recognized that was, nice, show stuff, stuff like that.
So anyway, to recap, I mean, Craig's got the funeral announcement, and he's going to make money off of it. He's going to sell the item and then take the money and the proceeds and donate it to the survivors. I think Gary would be very happy.
Oh man, I
with
do.
that.
You know,
Yeah, I really.
You know, and since we're on that subject of why weren't the survivors taken care of to begin with, you know, and I think I said this on the last podcast. That's not on the band. I don't blame that on individual band members after the plane crash. I don't blame Gary and Alan for not starting a fund for the survivors. Once you do that, once you take responsibility, if they would have took responsibility for that and started paying people, they could have got sued. Once you start accepting responsibility for stuff, you're just opening a can of worms. So I don't blame anybody for not doing that, you know. But as far as the new tribute band, maybe they should have donated $100, $200, $300, $500 a show toward supporting the survivors. You know, that's a good idea now, but you know, it just never happened. You know, and you know, I'm just getting down to where, you know, I'm understanding that, you know, Griff and I are trying to call these people and get them on the show, and now we understand that they're not doing well. You know, they're all in their 70s, they're all retired, they've all still got injuries from this, they're all still paying their own medical bills, and it's, you know, it's not fair. You know, I'm not hurt. I mean, I got a little bit of brain damage, you know, and stuff, but you know, maybe some physical stuff, but I'm doing okay. I don't need any help. And people like Kenny Peden, you know, I heard somebody say that they were going to donate, and Kenny stepped up and said, "No, I'm doing okay." And people like Steve Lawler, I think he's still working for a production company, you know, putting on the shows. So I'm sure he's still doing okay. And like I said before, there's a guy named Jim Brace, and I don't even remember him. Sorry, Jim, if you're watching. I think it was his first tour. But I know of 5 people: Paul Welsh, Gene Odom, Paul Welsh, Leslie Hawkins, Mark Howard, and Mark Frank, who could use some help. You know, I put on the thing last week that Mark Frank, I heard, needed a TV. And I had like 3 or 4 people say, "Where's he at? I got a TV. I'll go give it to him." You know, which is really cool. You know,
but the thing about it is they're not asking anybody for anything. They very humble.
Not.
They're not saying, "Hey, why aren't we being taken care of?" They're not saying that. They just are minding their own business, and they're doing what they can to survive. And Craig,
I've had a couple of them say,
"Anything
you can do." I've had a couple of them say, "But anything you can do for us, we'd appreciate it." Because
which is what we're doing now.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
But, yeah.
So people that are beating Craig up over the funeral announcement and stuff like the set list, and you know, and Craig making money off of the podcast, it's all going to the survivors. It's a great recognition to the survivors, and we're trying our best to do it, you know, to get these guys some much needed help.
All those people that blowing hot air about me, you can just save your breath. It don't bother me. I know why I'm doing it, and I don't care what you say, you know. So you're just you know, I just throwing it right back in your face, you know. It's just like, I've never, ever, I've been selling things on eBay since I quit touring 2006. And I've never, ever gone on Facebook and tried to advertise stuff I was selling on eBay. Never have I done that. Only in the last couple of weeks, I started commenting about stuff I was selling on eBay, because it seems like everything I'm putting on eBay here lately ends up on eBay lately is ending up on Facebook and going, looky here what Craig's trying to do. Craig's trying to sell this stuff and live off of dead people, and this is stuff he stole out of from people, the families, and he should give it back, and all this crap, and it's just, so now,
it starts on
everything I sell on eBay. I'm gonna ask the fans for permission if I can sell something and keep the money.
Yeah, it starts on the fan sites. Somebody will go on eBay and they'll do a screenshot of what Craig's selling, and they'll go, "Can you believe what he's doing now?" I mean, I tell you,
and all they're doing is advertising for me. It's great. It's all this stuff, and all this stuff is just bringing more people to be curious about what I'm doing, and it's just bringing more money. So just have at it,
Well, it's productive. I think it's working out. I think in the end, everybody's gonna be happy. The sales of what you're selling on eBay, it's going toward the survivors. So,
I've got 100. I've been selling stuff since 2006, and I've got 100% positive feedback. And you go in and look at my feedback, and everybody's saying, "Man, this is, thank you so much for sharing these things with us. And without you, we wouldn't have any. You're the only person to have this stuff," which is true. A lot of things that I sell on eBay, you won't find from anybody else because nobody else has it.
Well, and Craig, you're pretty particular about the stuff too. And somebody might say, is Craig being honest about what he's selling? Well, I remember I asked Craig, "Hey, Craig, let me have that steering wheel out of Alan Collins' car out there in your yard, because you can go get another one and replace it from a junkyard. Nobody will ever know." And Craig said, "No, that is an original car. Everything that's in it is going to stay in that car, and it's going to be sold all original if I ever sell it." So,
but I did take the license plate off.
Yeah, but for the most part, that just goes to show that Craig, is trying to keep everything original, and that's how he is with everything. So if you think he's got ulterior motives, he doesn't. He's always been honest with the things that he sells. And if you see something that's a copy, like that set list, yes, it's a copy, but it was on the plane, and there were several copies, and those are very valuable set lists. They're not copies from today. They're copies from the 70s.
Well, I had two different people say, "Just don't list that set list. Just send me the receipt for how much you want. I'll just send you the money." And I didn't even respond to him because I don't set my own prices. I don't say this is what I want for it. And I start everything at 99 cents, and people pay what they feel like it's worth to them. And I don't sell stuff on the side.
But here lately, people haven't been paying. They just don't pay, and then Facebook.
Well, that's people.
Force it.
Yeah, I get people with zero, and I don't really pay attention. I put it up, and then I look at it the next Sunday and see what it sells for, and then I notice that the person that bought it has zero feedback. Like they've never bought anything, and then all of a sudden they buy something off me and don't pay. It just seems odd, like somebody's targeting me.
Well, there were some individuals,
the person that bought this set list
that were doing that on purpose. Yeah.
The person that bought this set list, I guess somebody checked him out, and they said all he has on his thing is a blurry picture of him and a couple of pictures of some dogs or something. It looks like a phony account, so I don't know why these people are doing it or what their motivation is, but you're not bothering me because I just I just put it up and relist it and tell the story that somebody bought it and didn't pay for it. And next time I sell it, it brings more money, so whatever. But it gives us something to talk about here on the Stone Roadie show when we ain't got no guests anyways, but
well,
I guess I took off on a rant this time on the beginning of the show because I want, I take this thing seriously, and I didn't think we really had anything to talk about. So I guess I was just sitting here just blabbing away. But what's funny is me and Griff were talking about this. That's this people and say they enjoy this podcast so much, and I'm going, why? I mean, even my ex-wives that notified me said they enjoy it, and I'm going, well, what do you like about it? I mean, I know I'm not any good at this, I know that I'm not any good at it, and all I do is have either Kathy or Griff ask me questions or read comments, and then I just sit here and just answer questions, and it's just comes so easy to me. Nothing has ever came this easy to me. I just sit here and just somebody ask me a question and I just answer them, and all of a sudden I'm just a podcast phenomenon or something.
Well, in the past, I think people have been relying on the fan sites, to ask questions to people, and they would dig all the answers up. But now they can go right to the Stoned Roadie, ask questions, and it's a direct line into Lynyrd Skynyrd, and you were with those guys for the entire time that they were at the top of their game, 1973 to 77. That's a lot of music that was made, and Craig was right there. And you guys have questions for Craig, you can't get those answered on fan sites like that. So,
well, my career not only started with the original Lynyrd Skynyrd, it transpired into 30 years of the tribute band plus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Lynyrd Skynyrd's been my entire life. Basically, I started with him when I was 22, and I retired when I was. Well, I retired early. I retired from music, that scene, when I was 55 years old, So,
and we've been pretty lucky about the guests that we've had on the Stone Roadie show, as far as really interesting people. We have a lot of guests lined up to come on. We just figured we'd take a little time today and not have a guest on, and just talk about, recap on some things that's happened in the past, like, when Craig was getting slammed over this funeral brochure, and what's been going on with eBay, and the things that Craig posts on Facebook, it might hurt us a little bit, but in the long run, like Ronnie said, if you're bringing attention to yourself, even if it's bad attention, it's going to be good attention.
It don't matter what they say about you as long as they're talking about you.
Right. So we got a lot of cool things coming up, like I was talking about, the Muscle Shoals, not this weekend, but next weekend I'll be going up to Muscle Shoals. I got some people that I'd like to mention that are helping me out with that. Tammy Deaton, she knows a lot of the guys that were engineers, the Swampers, and things like that. And she's spearheading this whole trip up there for me to go up and interview some people that were basically involved in the recording of some of the albums with Lynyrd Skynyrd up there. And then there's other people like Brian Bodcan. Brian Bodcan, he's the one who introduced me to Tammy. So these people we're going to be seeing when I do the On the Road with Griff Martin up at Muscle Shoals. You guys are going to want to tune in for that. It's going to be some really cool stuff. There's actually a door that was in the Muscle Shoals studio that's got a bunch of signatures on it. It's got a carving on it that Ronnie Van Zant carved in there, Mr. Breeze. A lot of people don't know about that door. It's kind of missing. Tammy's looking for it. I'm hoping to video it. It's an artifact. It's got some signatures on it from the Honkettes, from Ronnie Van Zant. It's got some other pretty prominent rock and roll people that have signed that door. So you guys stay tuned for this Muscle Shoals trip. It's going to be pretty awesome. Brian and Tammy, appreciate you guys looking out for me and inviting me up there. Going to be there for a couple days. There's a big celebration going on, and it's going to be the weekend of the 22nd. So won't be too much long after that. When I go up there, we'll post it on the road with Griff Martin. But yeah, our last podcast, Craig, you want to go over some of the comments that we were getting?
Yeah, but let's talk about this convoy that we've put together here. We're going to have ourselves a convoy, and it's going to start right up here on Interstate 71 is our first route. I'm up here around the Cleveland area, and Interstate 71 begins right there, I think at 80 and 71. And we'll start somewhere in there, and then we're going to go down. I don't know the exact route yet, but
we're talking for the 20th when you come down for the monument.
Yeah, for the monument, for the whatever's going to happen down there at the monument this year. They was supposed to have some kind of an unveiling down there and everything, but I don't know if all that scheduling's all been secured or not. But I've already said that I'm going this year. I've already told everybody that I'm going to go down there this year. This will be my first year down there, and I just thought, I was going to just drive down, and my friend Christina, she's down there, the rose lady, the woman that had the yellow roses that she was putting on the site on the graves all those years and was kind of doing it secretly, and somebody went out there and caught her, and now
Christina Anderson.
Yeah, Christina Anderson. Yeah, she's a real nice lady. But I was going to go down there and have her she's down there from that area, and I was going to go down there and kind of ask her to show me around and show me some of the sites and stuff, and I was going to spend a couple of days down there, and then other people found out I was going to go down early, and they wanted to come down there and meet up with me and stuff, and then Automotive were sitting here the other night, and he said he was going to go down, and I goes, God, why don't we just get a Winnebago and just go down? And then I goes, God, let's just have a convoy. Let's just start a convoy, and we'll just, we were sitting here we're still trying to figure out what the best way to do it is, but I don't want to make it, I'd like to make it like a poker run where we have certain places that we would stop, and maybe at places where a band would play or something, and we could meet up with people. But that would involve people getting in and getting hotels and all that. And then it's starting to just be a money thing, So we decided, we were going to get a Winnebago, and we'll just pick a place like a quarter of the way down, and then a half of the way down, and then 3/4 of the way down, place where we could meet up with people that wanted to join the convoy. I know a couple of people are going to cut across going west, and are going to from like Virginia, and are going to take whatever route they're going to take and meet us on. I'm not sure I know we start off on 71 South, and I don't know the exact. I think that goes pretty far down, and then we'll take something.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Yeah. But we're gonna have certain designated stops. You know, we're gonna try to figure out what time we'll be there, so we can pick up, you know, at a truck stop or something, and then we'll pull in, and then we'll have people join up with us, and if it gets to be like 100 or 200 people or something like that, I'm sure we'll make national news. You know, it might be turn out to be something that's kind of unique. You know, and we're gonna try everything we can to make it unique. You know, try to get advertising on it, and maybe get radio stations to talk about. Hey, they got the Forgotten Survivors Convoy going down to,
which is pretty cool, because Craig, you know, has not been to the crash site since it happened, and so for him to go back there, you know, I mean, that's a pretty amazing thing. You know, there's been a lot of people. Artemis Pyle has been back. Gene Odom's been back. Mark Howard has been back. Mark Frank, Paul Welsh has been back, but other than that, I'd have to say not too many of the plane crash survivors have actually been back, because it's a horrible thing to relive.
I think everybody's been back except for me, to tell you the truth. I
don't think Kevin Elson's been back.
No, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And Clayton Johnson hasn't been back. Yeah, thank you for bringing that
and
up.
Gary had no intentions on ever going.
No, none of the no.
But it's pretty cool that you're going back.
Yeah, it's kind of humbling that people say, "Man, if you're going, I'm going." You know, that's kind of cool. You know,
and the guys that own the property there, you know, that with the monument, they have talked about trying to go that same route that Artemis and Ken Peden and Mark Frank, when they fought their way through the woods to go get help. Craig's wanting to kind of do that route.
Craig's not wanting to do it. Craig's gonna do it.
Yeah, so
Craig's gonna go and find it. If I will get the GPS coordinates and take a GPS with me.
I've been talking to Dwayne that place,
because
yeah,
I've heard I've heard it's hard to find, because where the tree and everything was signed and all that stuff, it's gone. I guess that was a horrible storm.
A hurricane came
there. If you don't know where it was, you won't find it, because there's nothing there anymore. I guess people still know where it is. They're going out there with metal detectors and trying to find stuff. But
well, you're not allowed out on that property, and the only way you can get out there is if you have a special invitation, and usually it has to go through Dwayne Easley, because you know he knows the owner, and it's pretty tough. But and
there's wild hogs out there too. I mean, you don't want to be tramping around out there in them woods with wild hogs running around. I've never really encountered any, but I'm understanding that that's not something you want to do.
Right.
And I guess there's a creek that you have to cross, you know.
Yeah, and that creek is sometimes, it's, you know, depending on the weather, if it's been raining a lot, it's pretty full. And that's the one that they had to drag everybody through, and they were wanting to cut Alan's arm off because, you know, the contamination. Water.
The doctor said that he stood out there and made sure that none of those open wounds got in that water. Yeah, that was his main thing. He wanted to make sure none of those open wounds got in that water.
Because everybody that came off that plane went through that creek.
Yeah, I had a rib going through my lung, but I don't know how I got back. I might have got back in a helicopter. I don't know how I got back, you know. I saw pictures of me on the gurney coming in, but I don't know what my transportation was getting to the hospital.
But yeah, coming October, we're gonna work on that convoy, and that's gonna be a cool thing. Hey, Craig, let's just go through some of these comments on this last podcast we did, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay, yeah, we're we're about.
It was really cool that last podcast, Jim Beret, Mitch Scooby, Jim Beret, BB King's bus driver. How cool, right? And then
that was.
Someone
else has come up and said that they know the drummer too.
Karen Weber.
Drummer. They want to.
Yeah,
we're trying to get that together, maybe. Yeah,
I'm supposed to talk to Karen Weber. I need to give her a call. Sorry, Karen, I haven't called you yet. And she knows the drummer, BB King's drummer. So hopefully we can talk to him. But yeah, what a really great podcast we had with Mitch Scooby and Jim Beret talking about BB King. And we go some of these comments right here if you want, Craig, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. Let's go over some of them. I haven't had a chance to go through any of those.
And we don't do that a whole lot, go through the comments, but we're going to go ahead and do that. Looks like starting at the top, Terry Lunsford comments. I love this. It's so high that this closing tune says the road stories show before taking a long hit and exhaling. Thanks so much for these podcasts, Craig and Griff. I definitely would be interested in taking a bus down to the memorial site this October. Well, we're going to work on that. Right,
come and join the convoy.
Yeah. We're going to work on that. We're going to get that convoy. I don't know. I think Craig was even mentioning getting a motor coach or something. Maybe we can get.
Yeah, there's several big RV dealers here. I'm going to try to hook up a deal, but maybe if people want to come to the Akron Canton area where I am at, they can get them a motor coach from the same place I'm getting mine. We can just because we get a motor coach. We'll have a shower and a bathroom in there and everything. But because we were talking about maybe so people wouldn't have to get a hotel room for that. We could stop at a campground somewhere. And, somebody that didn't have a Winnebago or something, or didn't want to, don't have to get a hotel, they could just throw a tent in the back of their car. And we get to a campground, they probably have showers and bathrooms there, for everybody to use, and just sleep in a tent overnight in the, whatever, sleep in the car, sleep in the tent, just have a meeting place about halfway down, maybe, and spend the night or something. I don't know. Like I said, but we want to take what do you want to call it? Suggestions. There you go. There's the word. We want to take some suggestions to what people that are interested in joining up with this, what they think might be an entertaining thing to make it, more unusual, because it's definitely going to be unusual. We're going to use the old CB channel 19, breaker 19. This is the convoy, the forgotten survivor convoy,
Yeah, it'll be like that Burt Reynolds movie, with Jackie Gleason.
And I'm sure as we're going down there that people will hear us on the radio and go, "Oh man, that's cool. I'm going to join the convoy." There's a lot of people. I think it's going to turn out to be a very interesting thing.
Yeah, we got another comment, Cousin Feigl. This guy, he's always commenting. Big wheels keep on rolling. The guys that keep the music going. Thanks to all you do here with the great stories. Got Bob Lukowski. Hey, Craig, I have a little north of the outskirts of Cleveland. I've been a big Lynyrd Skynyrd fan since December of '73. When I first saw them, I was one of the lucky ones. I got to see them 3 times before that horrible day. I would have give anything to be able to hop on that bus with you guys. So you come on and get on the bus going down to the monument this October. That's another good chance, for you guys to get in.
I was talking to Mitch Scooby, and I was asking him to maybe he could get us an actual tour bus, but we're taking the expense to a whole nother level from going from Winnebago here locally to a tour bus. But Mitch said he'd drive us, and that's a big part of the expense, a driver. But those buses eat up a lot of fuel. But if we'd get a regular tour bus, we could make it like a party bus, and then we could have whoever rides on the bus help pay, pay the way down there. We could have a good old time in a big old tour bus, about 10 of us split the expense,
Yeah, David Rice from the last podcast. I met Mr. B.B. King in Owensboro, Kentucky. I was there for a rodeo, and B.B. was playing the executive end. Such a nice man. Miles Nye. God bless Gene Odom and the rest of the survivors and what you're doing with the podcast. Great night of information for Mitch and Jimmy. Thank you. That was talking about the last podcast. These shows are getting better each episode. We appreciate that. We try to get as many people on that are as interesting as we can get them. There's still a lot more lined up coming on. So
I just want to confirm something right now. There is not now, or there will never be, an entry fee to get in the convoy. This ain't no money gimmick. This is going to be totally free. If you can join us, we'd love to have you, and there will never be a fee to do this. It's not going to happen. So all you doubters going, they're going to charge to do that. No, we're not either. It's totally free. We'd love to have you on the convoy if you want to join.
Yeah, and it's a work in progress. We just started thinking about it. It's not organized yet, but by the time we get ready to do it, free. Right. Lori Shoemaker, I'm hoping to be on the bus in October. Gene is a fantastic person. So glad to call him my friend. Got another guy here. Great show, John Doe. I like hearing the stories about different artists and different road stories. Yeah, we got a lot more on the road with Griff Martin coming up with the Muscle Shoals thing. Plenty of things after that. We got a lot of guests coming up. So for now, Craig, you want to go ahead and wrap it up?
Yeah, let's go ahead and call that a wrap. Yeah, we didn't know what we were going to talk about. Heck, we've been going almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And then next week, we'll probably have us a good guest on. We won't tell you who it'll be, but you just have to stay tuned and watch.
All righty. Yeah, so we done cut these kind of short since we got that opening song, so
right.
So they cut out my singing for the opening, and then we got the other one we did, Happy Trails to You. So I don't have to sing that no more, and I'm sure you people are glad that we actually got something else besides me singing. But you ain't out of trouble yet. I'm gonna close this show up and say this has been podcast number 68, and happy trails to you until we meet again. And may the good Lord take a liking to you. And that's podcast 68. We're going to call that a wrap cut.
It's a wrap.
Where's my thing here? All right, here we go. Oh, okay. Bye.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep toking until then. The Road Stony Show.